Well, back to the ramifications of the Labor conference. Now that Labor's officially endorsed gay marriage, the question is how it'll unfold in the Parliament and what community sentiment will be. Labor's agreed on a conscience vote, but it's widely expected that a change to the Marriage Act won't survive the Parliament. The broader question is how the issue will play at the ballot box, as Natasha Johnson reports.
Sydney couples Sandy Miller and Louise Buck have become a public face of the campaign for marriage equality, speaking out and lobbying MPs ahead of the ALP National Conference.
For us, the next step is to get married, to make that commitment in front of the people we love, our family, our friends, and be recognised legally and everywhere else that this is my wife.
Gay, straight, black or white, marriage is a civil right.
A very personal issue for them has become political, triggering passionate debate on the national stage and bringing protesters onto the streets. But just how big an issue is it in the community?
I think this is a reform whose time has come, and I think that the Australian public would like the government to get over it and get on with it.
There are enough people out there, certainly in faith communities, who fundamentally disagree with this and disagree strongly that this will definitely hurt Labor in a close election.
Jim Wallace represents the Australian Christian Lobby. His organisation has collected 120,000 signatures on an anti-gay marriage petition, many, he says, coming from marginal ALP seats, and he predicts an electoral backlash against Labor, particularly amongst the 20% of people he says are churchgoers.
I've never seen the churches actually put together over 100,000 signatures on an issue. I can tell you that 20% of the population, I would believe, are absolutely annoyed at this decision.
But Monash University political lecturer Zahra Ghazarian questions whether opposition from church leaders and Christian groups will necessarily change votes.
Well, they are very influential, especially for their congregations. They will be very influential. But will they have the power to dictate what people do in the privacy of their ballot box? Possibly, possibly not. There are a whole raft of other issues that will presumably be going through people's minds when they turn up to vote in a few years' time. They will be concerned about healthcare, education, immigration, all those sorts of things. This is just yet another issue rather than the issue that people will vote for. But federal Labor MP John Murphy is deeply worried.
I'm shattered because the people who have pushed this agenda are seeking to redefine marriage. And marriage has been around as a union of a man and a woman for thousands of years.
A member of the party's right wing, the Catholic MP represents the inner Western Sydney electorate of Reid, which has the largest Muslim population in the country, many of whom he believes will punish Labor.
Well, I think we could lose at least 8 seats in New South Wales and another 12 seats in the other states. And that's serious for the ALP. Whilst we will lose very few votes, I believe, from the gay community, from the Conservative community, who support the Labor Party, they will leave us in droves.
But Alex Greenwich from the pro-reform group Australian Marriage Equality argues such dire predictions are unfounded. He says Galaxy polling it commissioned showed 62% of Australians support same-sex marriage and that voter intention polling suggests it could deliver a 7% swing to Labor.
I think that Labor Party will get a boost from this because I think people have seen that the Labor Party is returning to their core values of fairness and equality, and I think they'll get a lot of new voters, particularly from the Greens and young voters.
He says a Galaxy poll released today also shows that 3/4 of coalition voters support their MPs also having a conscience vote on the issue, although it's yet to be supported by Tony Abbott.
The Liberal Party is a broad church, as we know, and it has a diversity of views within it. And I believe that there will be a great deal of debate.
The openly gay New South Wales state member for Coogee, Bruce Notley-Smith, whose electorate overlaps much of Malcolm Turnbull's, says progressive Liberals like him will come under pressure to cross the floor without a conscience vote.
I would think that the most sensible way to go about it is to allow people a conscience vote. And remember, conscience votes really are a reflection of the community and the electorates.
We'll certainly be trying to prevail on the coalition that it should not go to a conscience vote. It's made a promise for the term of this parliament, and like the Labor Party, we expect it to keep it.
This issue really will be bubbling along, and ultimately the writing is on the wall. We can see that this is going to be the future of Australian policy. There will be a change. Whether it's now or whether in the future remains unclear.
And that's a view shared by Sandy Miller and Louise Buck.
You know, it used to be that you never heard about anyone having a gay relative, a son, a daughter, a cousin, a brother, an uncle. It used to be in the closet, it used to be hidden. But now there aren't many families that are not affected by it, who don't know someone who's in a same-sex relationship. It's not a dirty word.
And a private member's bill on gay marriage put forward by Labor MP Stephen Jones is expected to go before the federal parliament in the first half of next year. Natasha Johnson reporting.